In the United States, someone dies of cardiovascular disease every 34 seconds, meaning 2,500 people in the US die of cardiovascular disease every single day, according to an article written in January of 2025 from the American Heart Association. I'm sure that number startled quite a few of you. Cardiovascular disease is a rising concern in our world's health, and we need to do something about it. I'm sure that you all want to live long, healthy lives, and I'm sure you want the people that you love and care about to also live long, healthy lives. In order to reduce the risk of developing this fatal disease, you have to consider adopting new lifestyles, specifically by adopting the vegetarian diet. The modern American diet of animal meat is the main cause of cardiovascular disease. In order to take care of our heart health, we must adopt a vegetarian diet. This diet helps to reduce the risk of high blood pressure, obesity, and type 2 diabetes, all which are leading causes of developing cardiovascular disease. I've been studying the significant health benefits of this diet for many years now, and I have even adopted the diet for the past 5 years. Today, I will present to you why you should adopt the vegetarian diet, its benefits, and what you can do today to start your journey of taking control of your life and your overall health. To start, cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States due to increased rates of high blood pressure, obesity, and type 2 diabetes in U.S. adults. Cardiovascular disease diagnosis and death are on an uprise and are a major concern. Poor diet is a huge factor when it comes to high blood pressure and obesity. Learning how to eat to benefit your body and to reduce the risk of developing very serious health conditions is very important. According to an article from the American Heart Association written in January of 2025, nearly 47% of U.S. adults have high blood pressure. More than 72% of U.S. adults have unhealthy weight, with nearly 42% having obesity. More than half of U.S. adults, roughly 57%, have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. Americans struggle with the leading causes of cardiovascular disease at an alarming rate, and these numbers only continue to rise due to many contributing factors. Secondly, according to an article from the National Library of Medicine written in May of 2020, it is estimated that about 26% of the world's population were affected with hypertension or high blood pressure in 2000, with 333 million from developed countries and 639 million from developing countries. It is an escalating trend, rising from 594 million in 1975 to 1.13 billion in 2015. There has been a significant increase in hypertension or high blood pressure diagnoses over the past several years, and this is contributing to an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Thirdly, according to an article from the National Library of Medicine written in 2011, cardiovascular disease mortality and morbidity has been shown to be elevated in individuals who are overweight, particularly with central deposition of adipose tissues. Abdominal obesity has been shown to be a risk factor for cardiovascular disease worldwide. More and more individuals are dying because of cardiovascular disease due to the rate of obesity climbing higher and higher because of poor nutritional habits. Lastly, according to an article from Johns Hopkins Medicine written in November of 2023, people with diabetes are 2 to 4 times more likely than others to develop cardiovascular disease. For people who are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, they are more than twice as likely to develop cardiovascular disease versus people who are not diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. The problem of cardiovascular disease on the rise due to poor diet, high blood pressure, obesity, and type 2 diabetes is that younger adults are being diagnosed with this disease earlier and earlier, and it will continue to rise and take more lives if people do not make changes. The solution to the problem is to change your eating habits to benefit your body and to reduce the risk of developing heart disease. Specifically, people should look into the benefits of eating a vegetarian diet. By adopting a vegetarian diet, people are less likely to develop heart disease and other related conditions. People will need to stick to a diet that excludes meat, poultry, fish, and seafood. According to a peer-reviewed scholarly journal from the San Francisco Public Library of Science, written in May of 2024, several major professional and scientific organizations encourage the adoption of vegetarian and vegan diets for the prevention and treatment of a range of chronic metabolic diseases, such as atherosclerosis, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. By adopting the vegetarian diet, there are significant data showing that it can help reduce the risk of the leading causes of cardiovascular disease, which in turn would lower the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. According to an article from the National Library of Medicine written in September of 2023, a systemic review and meta-analysis of data from 13 prospective cohort studies showed that vegetarians had a 15% reduction in the relative risk of cardiovascular disease and a 21% reduction in the relative risk of ischemic heart disease compared to non-vegetarians. When individuals adopt the vegetarian eating style, there are major decreases in developing life-threatening diseases such as cardiovascular disease and ischemic heart disease, which is a specific kind of heart disease. The solution would be a long-term solution to reduce the risk of developing heart disease. People would need to stick to the diet for the rest of their lives in order to ensure they are reducing the risk of developing these diseases. If individuals chose to not follow the solution and to do nothing about trying to reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease, then cardiovascular disease rates will rise more and more, killing more people every single year. Friends and loved ones will be lost to a disease that we could have had some effect on preventing. You might be thinking we are young and this disease is something that can happen to old people. But I want you to picture the faces of the old people you love. And those special people are being taken from your life earlier than is necessary. The thing is, this disease is completely preventable. We can live long and healthy lives simply by changing our eating habits to eating whole foods and plant-based foods. If individuals do decide to follow the solution and take control of their health, cardiovascular disease-related deaths will decrease, and many people will go on to live healthy and better lives due to not developing a life-threatening disease. You are all now very aware of the risk of developing cardiovascular disease and what you can do today to reduce your risk of developing cardiovascular disease in the future. Right now, I want you, my audience, to try the vegetarian diet. I understand that cutting out meat, poultry, fish, and seafood all at once is a lot to ask. I specifically want you to pick one of the 4 main food groups I just listed above and try to cut it out of your diet. Then, add one after a few weeks until you've cut all of them completely out of your diet. At that point, you will have officially adopted the vegetarian diet and you are on your way to taking control of your health again. I trust that you all want to live long and healthy lives, and I hope that you all adopt this diet to reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Thank you so much.